Hello, everybody. So Mr. Daniel Peter Endres, the Humanitarian Coordinator at Interim for Afghanistan, is joining us from Kabul to talk about the earthquakes in Afghanistan. The floor is yours, sir.
Much to brief you today on the recent earthquakes that have struck Western Afghanistan. As you may know, over the past 9 days, 3 earthquakes, very powerful earthquakes, of all registering 6.3 magnitude on the Richter scale, have hit Herat province in Western Afghanistan. One on 7th of October, the other one on the 11th, and the last one yesterday morning on the 15th of October. From our initial assessments, we registered some 1,500 deaths and about 2,000 injuries. And in addition, we also realized that about 43,000 people have been directly impacted and affected by these earthquakes. The most impacted district is the district of Injil, and it hosts it has about 23,000 people that were impacted. That's about 53% of the people affected. Already now, we know that more than 3,300 homes have been completely destroyed. Damage has also been sustained to water systems, wells, hand pumps, and large amount of debris and rubble risk contaminating broken water sources and giving rise to disease outbreaks. While we await the full set of data from our assessments, humanitarian actors are in the race against time to meet the needs of affected communities before the onset of winter. Temperatures at nighttime have dipped considerably. In addition to those people who have damaged homes, who now stay outside their homes at night, including in Herat city, out of fear that these damaged homes will collapse. Over the past week, I have visited Herat 3 times to meet with affected communities and to support the response efforts. Much has already been done, initially by local communities and also by the de facto authorities, and now significantly with partners providing emergency shelter materials such as tents, blankets, but also providing water, food, health, and hygiene kits to the most affected areas and communities. But much more needs to be done immediately now to save and sustain lives, and then, of course, in the intermediate term to help with the recovery and the reconstruction, mostly of the damaged houses and the damaged infrastructure. This is why the humanitarian community in Afghanistan has prepared a Herat earthquake response plan. This plan is an initial plan it is based on information that is available to date, and as more data comes in, we may have to revise this plan. Before I get into the few details of this response plan, I would like to highlight that the needs and response components and financial requirements outlined in it will be absorbed in our 2023 humanitarian response plan for Afghanistan, which at this stage is already hugely underfunded. We have a gap of $2.2 billion, and that has, of course, critical implications on the humanitarian situation in Afghanistan. Turning to the Herat earthquake response itself, it will target now 114,000 people living in high-intensity impact areas, with a focus on those whose homes have been destroyed completely or severely damaged. A total of $93.6 million is required to rapidly deliver life-saving earthquake response and also supply early recovery efforts over the next 6 months. That means from now until March 2024. And finally, we would like to note that these earthquakes have struck some of the most vulnerable communities in Afghanistan. They have already been grappling with decades of conflict and underdevelopment. They have little resilience to cope with the multiple and simultaneous shocks, and especially with the cold winter coming, when households have limited food resources and are most constrained in capacity. This response plan, while essential, will also need to be supplemented with a medium and longer-term recovery plan that we will hopefully come up with in the next 2 months. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this briefing. I turn the floor to journalists. If you guys have any question, let me know. Tissam, please go ahead.
Thank you for the briefing. In behalf of the United Nations Correspondent Association, thanks for the briefing. My name is Ibtisam Azim, Al Arabi Al Jadid newspaper. My question is about which reactions are you getting from countries regarding your package or your aid? And if you could also go a little bit more on the needs in more details. How is the situation? And what is the most urgent needs you have, and what will happen if you don't get the money you need? Thank you.
Thank you. And first of all, I would like to highlight that many of the neighboring countries have sent in rescue teams, have sent flights in. That includes Iran, Kazakhstan, Turkey, and from the international community, some of the key donors have supported us in providing support to the Afghanistan Humanitarian Fund and to the SURF. Through the SURF, we also have funding. This includes countries like Germany, that includes Australia, Korea, and many of the what we would call standard donors to our response. The most urgent needs at this stage is really shelter, because it's already cold at night. People stay in the open, as I mentioned. They are even if they have houses that are not completely destroyed, they will not go into these houses, but because they have fear for aftershocks. So blankets, tents, any form of shelter that can provide them some warmth and protect them from the elements is the most important. And then also water. There is all the water systems in the most affected villages have been completely destroyed, so there is no drinking water. And a very important need is also they have lots of sheep and goats, and this is their lives. So these animals have also no more water. So we tanker water to these people and to the livestock. Then medical care. A lot of people, as I mentioned, have been injured, and now with the onset of the cold weather, there is more requirements for medical care. More than 20,000 people have been supported with medicines. The Minister of Health is on site in the hospitals and coordinates the support to the injured. And then, of course, food. Much of the food that people had has been buried in the collapsed mud houses, and that food can no longer be recovered. This is also an element I would like to highlight. There has been no earthquakes in that region for decades, so the housing that has been constructed there is not earthquake-proof, and the slightest tremors has led to total devastation of many villages.
Thank you for that. Yes, please go, Margaret.
Hi, Mr. Endres. It's Margaret Bashir with Voice of America. My question is about the Taliban. Are they out front leading this, or is it the UN that's leading the response? You mentioned just the Minister of Health, but are there other de facto authorities on the ground in Herat? And how are their various decrees impacting your ability to reach people in need, particularly the ban on women aid workers and such? Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have to highlight that especially the local population and the local authorities have made an important initial effort and continue that. The health is obviously central. there were many ministers that spent several days in Herat, including the Minister for the Disaster Management, the Deputy Prime Minister, the Minister of Economy that coordinates the aid. So I think in terms of living up to the crisis, the de facto authorities are doing whatever they can. I think that we can witness. The impediment so far, it has been relatively easy to go anywhere, anytime with all the staff. In the last couple of days, there have been some hiccups with requests that we are increasing our coordination. We recognize that it is needed. We need to know who does what where, but there have been some impediments that came up. I think I was there yesterday, and we have agreed to address that these impediments will be lifted. The authorities have shown a great level of flexibility, including on the work that is done with women for women. As you know, any work that is done in the sectors of health and education is not impacted by the restrictions on women.
Any more questions in the room? Iftikhar, yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Endres. This is Iftikhar Ali from Associated Press of Pakistan. My questions have been asked, but may I ask you, you have mentioned the usual donors in this regard, but have the countries neighboring Afghanistan, have they come out in a big way to help in this effort?
Yes, I have personally witnessed, search and rescue teams from Iran on site. Pakistan has provided has offered assistance. I think it's still to be checked if that assistance has arrived. I think there has been a regional level of solidarity that has been remarkable, I think at this moment, everyone just focuses on one issue, that is to save lives, to sustain lives, and to help people rebuild their destroyed existence.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Are there any more questions either online or in the room? If not, then I would say thank you so much, Mr. Daniel Peter Endres, the Humanitarian Coordination ad interim for Afghanistan. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.